Clearly, agriculture is important for the state, but certainly for this island. So we'd like to know, 2 minutes, what steps would your administration take to increase profitable farming in Hawaii?
2 minutes to answer something that's very complex in regards to Hawaii Island, and not just Hawaii Island, but I think across the other neighbor islands. You know, agriculture is a big part, I believe, in regards to what we call our naturally competitive industries. We know that we can have diversified agriculture in this state across the board. I'm a proponent and I'm a supporter of all forms of agriculture. I understand the balance that we need between, you know, whether it's the floral industry, whether it's the food industry, whatever it may be in regards to agriculture. But I also know that we have to balance this with the other concerns that we have out there. But I'm prepared to do what it takes. I know that the legislature has tried to incentivize more farmers to get into agribusiness by, you know, making some modifications and amendments and increasing the funding for agricultural loans. I know for a fact that, you know, we've done more in regards to biosecurity. I know we need to do much more so that we can help our agriculture industry to thrive in the state of Hawaii. I also know the challenges in regards to shipping, you know, transportation costs and water. I know that those are big issues that we have here in the state of Hawaii for our agriculture industry. And I'm willing to work towards all of that. But as I did in the previous engagements that I've had up here in Hawaii Island and across the state, I want to meet with that industry. I want to meet with the community and find out again what all of their concerns are so we can sit down and make it happen, because that's really what it's going to take. But I am committed. I know for a fact that what we want is more food security. Shipping in 80 to 85% of our food is just not the way to go, but I believe that we can be much more, you know, self-reliant and self-dependent on ourselves in regards to producing food in the state of Hawaii.
Thank you. Mr. Hanneman, what steps would your administration take to increase profitable farming in Hawaii?
My 6.5 years with Seabrook and Company gave me a deep and profound appreciation for diversified ag, especially on this island. You're known as being the agricultural breadbasket. And I really believe that our best years of agriculture is in front of us rather than behind us. So let's begin with changing the status of the Department of Agriculture. Currently, they get only 0.7% of the budget of state government. How can they afford to go out and do what they need to do? I was in a talk story session in Waimea this past weekend where a farmer told me about the issues that he's facing with invasive species, where the state is so quick to issue a fine as opposed to come with a long-range solution on how they're going to eradicate these species that is infiltrating his farm. This can't be done. We have to fully fund it. We have to make sure that the inspectors are out there. And then we have to be much more ag-friendly than we've ever had before. To the big farmers, to the small farmers, they're also engaging now in new technology. Aquaponics is a new industry in many ways. So I want to be very friendly. I want to be able to look at what we can do to help, especially in the fact that farmers often have difficulty with getting long-term leases. Farmers have difficulty in getting loans from the banks and the like. We have to go back with an understanding of the appreciation of agriculture. If we want food security, if we want to make sure that we grow more of our products here and be able to put out on the world market products from Hawaii that are grown here, that will help change the image that we have, but more importantly, recognize that we still have things here in Hawaii that we can produce, not just for our local people, but also for consumption for those around the world that love to have the Hawaii brand name, whether it's Kona coffee, now Ka'u coffee. All those things is really what I want to do. I want to bring back the agriculture industry and make them understand there's someone in the executive office that understands the importance of agriculture.
Senator Ige.
When I started my campaign for governor more than a year ago, I really thought that agriculture was dead in Hawaii. As I visited and talked with farmers, I talked with the nurseries here on the Big Island. And they talked about the opportunities, about the fact that they've learned how to make a profit in the business. They've learned how to put a high value on their crops and where those markets are, and most importantly, figured out how to structure their products so that they can maximize the profit and the opportunities. I met with a farmer in Puna looking to establish and be totally self-sufficient. looking at natural farming for his pig farm. I was amazed to walk in his farm, and in the middle of the pig farm, all I smelled was macadamia nuts and papayas. There was not the usual stench that you would expect at a pig farm. And he talked about his vision for planting and becoming even more self-sufficient by generating and producing biodiesel fuel. I went to Kauai, met with farmers in Kekaha. I met with farmers on Maui. I am more bullish about agriculture now than I ever have been because of my interactions with the many farmers across the state. We need to help and support all farmers, big and small. We need to turn the Department of Agriculture upside down so they understand that it's also about supporting the small farmers. So what does that look like? We need to make investments in the University of Hawaii so we can have the extension agents that can be the conduit to the farmers across the state to teach them about new techniques and ways to be more profitable. We need to start with the farmers and ask them, what would it take to double your production? I'm excited about this opportunity, and I believe that agriculture can be a big part of our economy moving forward.
Thank you. I have a 1-minute follow-up, and it has to do with invasive species. You all probably know that we find it really amusing when you get a coqui frog on Oahu or the fire ants and you all spring into action, you all meaning the state. So the question is, 1 minute, what kind of commitment will you make to this island to address those invasive species when they land here first? Mr. Henneman.
100% commitment. That's what this farmer was talking to me about, is the fire ants, and he's just totally frustrated because all he's doing is paying fine after fine after fine with no plan from the state to eradicate this. So let's be proactive from the beginning. Let's make sure that inspectors are spending as much time inspecting what's going out as opposed to what's coming in, and make sure that we're vigilant about it, that we prohibit these things from occurring. That's very, very important. So you will get 100% commitment because I've always been a supporter of agriculture. I changed the culture in the city and county of Honolulu where we did farmers markets in the city as opposed to the rural areas. I believe in agriculture. It wasn't an epiphany that came to me during the course of a campaign. I have always been a supporter of agriculture, and I will continue to make sure we get rid of this invasive species problem.
Thank you. Senator Ige.
The invasive species problem can only be defeated if we recognize and acknowledge that it has to be a comprehensive program that involves state, county, the farmers, and the distributors to really tackle and stop the spread of invasive species. I met with nursery farmers on the Big Island, and they were appalled that they had a hand in spreading coqui frogs throughout our communities. They were not aware. It's not like they're the enemies. They really are part of the solution. So it starts with understanding that all of those 4 sectors have to be part of the solution: the state, the county, farmers, and the distributors, because it has to be comprehensive. We need to work together. We need to identify ways that we can stop importation, and then most importantly, we have to be able to identify where they are and stop them from spreading across the state.
Thank you. Mr. Iona, will you be here for this island relative to invasive species?
Absolutely. It's, we have to be real about this also, understanding that invasive species will make its way, no matter how vigilant or how many resources we have committed to the problem. But therein lies the issue, and that is, what's the commitment, what's the priority? I believe that we don't have the necessary resources and personnel to do the best job that we can. And that's really all that you can do, is do the best you can. So biosecurity, inspection programs, inspection resources need to be there. I was mentioned earlier, both in and out of the state of Hawaii. And so with that, you have my commitment to put the type of resources that we need, to put the type of personnel we need so that we can minimize as best as we can any invasive species that is taking over the state of Hawaii, such as the ones that were mentioned tonight.